to episode 3 of Momstrosity podcast. I'm your host, Kelsie. I am so excited. I have a special guest that I'm going to be introducing to you guys in just a couple of minutes. We're going to be focusing on something that is not talked about. And I think our generation is trying to end that stigma, and that is men's mental health. So before I get into that, I do want to remind you guys to like and subscribe to my podcast. I'm on Apple Podcasts so far, and I do have YouTube. All right. This is a new segment we started last week. I want to thank my cousin again for giving me the idea. So this is Ask Momstrosity. So the question is from Sarah, and she says, as someone with ADHD, what are your best tips for maintaining a schedule? You come to the wrong place. No, I don't know. I keep calendars like it's nobody's business because, of course, there are 4 people in my household that I have to help kind of keep on routine, school schedules, therapy schedules, sports schedules, work schedules. So I really rely on using like a scheduling app with reminders and extra reminders when you need them. I think kind of having that reminder to maintain your routine and you know what's going on. That way you know where to like spin your focus. That's been the most beneficial for me with my ADHD. Then again, I have squirrels and they're typically everywhere, but that is one way that I really keep myself on task. And I do utilize like my Outlook calendar at work and use it for, you know, my work tasks. I have like a checklist. I think checklists are huge because if you have ADHD, you know, you deviate away from everything. Like you're like, oh, I'm doing a dish and it's like, oh, I need to move to the vacuum or oh, I forgot to switch out the laundry. So making sure that you have a task list, I think that'll keep you really on task and prioritizing things because everything to an ADHD person feels like it is on fire. So thank you, Sarah, for that question. I hope it helps you, but it still hasn't fully helped me, but I'm trying. But want to introduce you to my guest. This wonderful human being used to make me laugh so much in high school. And when people tell you, oh, you know, I'm not impactful, I don't remember people from middle school, high school, like Sean was one of the people that always was looking to make me laugh and make me smile. And that's something I always remembered, especially like, you know, when you're getting picked on. Sean was here. So Sean is going to be vulnerable today, and I'm so appreciative of that. I went to a conference a couple weeks ago where they talked about men's mental health, and it really sparked the idea to give this platform. So I'm so happy to introduce Sean and let him kind of take the wheel here and tell us about himself.
Hey guys. So if you know me, you know me. But if you don't, I'm very big on making people feel happy, feel loved, feel cared for, in any situation. You know, going through something, not going through something. I notice that you talk all the time, or if you don't, and I just want to make sure that, you know, you feel good about yourself and you know your self-worth. That's just what I've always wanted to do for people. I got a wife now. I got a kid, a beautiful daughter. Her name's Aliana, and she is just a rootin' tootin' special kind of person for me. She means a lot to me.
They really do. Like, kids just put things into perspective on what priorities are, but also like when we talk about mental health, taking care of mental health, because we want to break that stigma. We want to set a good foundation for mental health so that they don't feel like we did growing up and becoming adults and having to cope. So, you know, they really do flip the script on us quite a bit.
It's really big for me, like when I have a very hard day, when I just feel like I feel things, and I think things on my way home from work. Why am I doing this? I'm not enough, and you know, just the things that you normally think of, right, when you're in that situation,
right? Yeah,
you know. And then I'll come in and I'll talk to Cece, and you know, it starts to feel better, and then I just tell her everything, you know, and this day was this or this day was that. And I could be madder than anything, stepping in dog crap, coming through the door, and then as soon as I open that door, I just see my daughter. She just jumps up in the crib and she just,
Yep.
she'll take a big long breath and then it's over at that point.
Everything changes with them. I think like they really do just make the world brighter for us. Some days they make us pull our hair out, but most days, they're our purpose. They're our reason for getting out of bed when most days we may not want to.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's been like that. Growing up, I had a good relationship with my dad, but he's, like I told you earlier, he's an Army Ranger. He's very aggressive. Most people would call him an a-hole,
Yeah.
He's just that type of person, but he'll give you the shirt off of his own back. But it was hard growing up with that. So I tread lightly with a lot of situations now. Like that's my, it's not triggering, but it's more or less like, I can't find the words to it right now, but I'm very attentive to how people are.
Yeah.
I'm very much on how they look, how they talk. I listen to that. Their hand movements.
Body language is huge for me.
That's a very big one because it was to the point to some days, and I'm not down on my dad.
No.
But growing up, when he would come home, it was that first 10 seconds, you would know if I needed to either A, go to my room
Or go to a friend's.
or B, give him a hug and we were going to have a good night, or C, go to a friend's.
Yeah.
It was very much like that. So now that's what I do. Anytime I argue with Cece, my wife, I see her language, her body language, how she talks, or even when we don't argue, when I ask her what she wants for dinner or things like that, I focus on that because I just, like I said, I'm a people pleaser. I want to please people, but I want people to be pleased as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I live with that too. Like, and that's something I struggled with. I used to, yearn for the approval of others, and still sometimes I do it. But now I'm like, why do I care? Why do I care about the opinions of others? And it is like, so my parents got divorced when I was like 6 or 7. And I always thank them for getting a divorce. And I know that's terrible, but it's like,
I'll agree.
I know it was hard. It was a difficult decision, but like, if you guys were not happy, I was going to be even more miserable. And I'm not going to say being a child of divorce is just this walk in a park. I mean, it had its moments, there was arguments, there was grief and things, but I think I wanted so badly to make them both happy because they were suffering and sad. And even though they were happy later on down the road with the decision, and they're both with incredible people, like I love my step parents so much, and that love is expanded. I ponder on that a lot, and I'm like, man, like, is that kind of why I want other people's approval? Is because all the time it's like, okay, I want to make mommy happy. She's sad today. Oh, I want to make daddy happy. Like he was sad today. Like that does carry into adulthood. That carries into adulthood, and you look for the approval of others that you were looking for with your parents.
I'll definitely agree to that, because that's why I seek so much approval now, because of my dad.
Yeah.
Those situations growing up, it was always seeking his approval.
Yeah.
And even when he'll look me dead in the eyes and he'll tell me, I'm so proud of you, but I don't believe it.
Right.
Like it's just because of, like the arguments we've had and stuff like that. But the whole divorce thing, like I'll agree to that as well. But my original mom, my OG mom, my blood mom,
Your OG mom, yeah.
I don't know. It's just, there was just a thing when my dad and her had a little thing. She was younger and he got lied to, apparently,
Yeah.
she said she was this old and she wasn't. And that was a big thing. So then she was young, so she wanted to party all the time.
Yeah.
And then my original stepmom, well, not my blood mom, but my original stepmom, she married my dad after I was a year old. And that's who I really grew up with. And my OG mom, she was going through a lot. She was, on stuff and things, and she moved to Texas, and
Oh wow.
I had no clue. I had no clue at all. But at the same time, my dad wouldn't let that side of the family see me.
Oh.
She didn't get custody.
Right.
There's all this stuff going into it. So, growing up until she left when I was about 6.
Yeah.
And I understand why he was so protective, and I can be mad at him for not letting me see, that side of the family. But when she had me, like, she would just drop me off, or she would leave me with
Whoever.
her boyfriends at the time and
Oh my gosh.
babysitters, and I was SA'd multiple times. Like it's hard to explain, but like when I was about 6, she left me with the babysitter. It was a girl, and she had me do things to her and stuff, and
Yikes.
and then
you're a child.
turn around people that I don't even know if they're like my actual family, but I know who they are.
Yeah.
And she would drop me off there, and seeing the boy there, he was about 12 or so, and his dad would hit him and beat him and stuff, and my mom would just leave me there, and then it would be bath time, and he would have me do things to him and stuff.
Yeah.
So at a young age, I knew what that stuff was.
Yeah.
And no child should.
No.
No child should at all.
No child should know that. And, vulnerable. I mean, I've been SA'd myself. I was a teenager when it happened. I don't really talk about it. I don't ever identify the person just because, one, I don't think I'll ever get the justice I deserve. But when that happens to you, I think you get back to the, like, people pleasing thing. And I know that's horrible to think about, right? But
I know.
like,
I think it stems from that.
It really does stem from that.
I know it sounds weird. And going into that, my mom's ex-boyfriends or boyfriends that she had at the time, they would argue, and I feel like one of them, he would take his anger out on me.
Yeah.
And that was one of his ways to take his anger out on her through me, I guess.
Yeah.
I missaid that.
Yeah.
And so I was going to lean into knowing those things at a young age. When you have your personal time, there's things that you do, as an adult.
Yeah.
So at a young age, I started getting into that. And by the time after high school, I'm just going to be honest with you, this is not very many people know this, but like I got really bad addicted to porn.
Yeah.
And it's not for the fact of like, well, I'm not going to even try to justify it, but I was, it was that all the time. And then it turned into the OnlyFans when that came out.
Yeah.
And it's because, I would work all day, and then I would get up, do it.
Yeah.
Before work, do it.
Right.
Come home from work, do it. Before I went to bed, I'd do it.
And it stems from trauma. Like it genuinely probably stemmed through trauma for you, I mean, I think my outlet was I pushed a lot of people away. And I don't know if you ever even remember in school, but like I got to this point, I wasn't hanging out with friends. I wasn't like, I dropped out of like cheer, like things that I like. It impacts everybody differently. I think it alters your brain differently depending on probably when it happened, who it was.
Yeah.
And it leads into a lot of things that you don't know how you're going to respond. Thank God for therapy. Let me just...
I've never done it.
Therapy is so important. And maybe that's the difference. Like, and that's why I want to focus on this. I don't feel like men feel it's okay to talk about their feelings sometimes.
Well, I did do... There was I did a session in Scottsburg.
Yeah.
At one of the places. And there's just this, I tried explaining this to the lady, and she was just like, well, maybe you just shouldn't feel that way. Ugh. And from then on, and that was when I was about 18.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about the times, when I was younger and stuff. And I talked to her about people pleasing, like I'm always trying to please people.
Right.
Because then that would please me,
Right.
And she was like, you just shouldn't feel that way. And like she didn't explain it or elaborate or anything.
Yeah.
And so that veered me away.
Of course
like,
it did. It deterred you from doing it.
It was just like, why am I paying this money for this?
For some,
if you're not going to listen to it, I can just listen to it, or I can just talk to a wall.
Write it on a piece of paper, throw it away. No, I've had an experience with a bad therapist before, but then I did have one that she was really in tune. Like she asked me, you know, all these questions to get a feel for like what my childhood looked like, what my adulthood, like what my marriage looked like. And she just concocted it. And then she's like, so you definitely have like, super like depressive disorder. You have anxiety. Of course, I got a ADHD diagnosis. I didn't get that till I was 24.
I know I haven't, but I've never even
Pursued
done
it.
that either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I know,
Yeah.
and dealing with, I can talk about something else, you know, like when I was in high school, I had people that I was hanging around with, and
Yeah.
there were times, like there was a time when I did pills, and
Yeah.
you know, I was just like, you know, that was like the cool hip thing, but it
Right.
made me feel so sick and so bad, and I don't know how to I don't know how to explain how that's just something
Right.
that bothers me. That
You
just, it
turn to
bothers me that I
something.
did that.
Yeah, you turn to something that friends, probably guys, were turning to instead of like a therapist or talking to a friend safely or even telling their parents. Like
Yeah.
you know it as well as I do. Like our school, our community, they still are, but you know there's a plague. There is an opioid
Yeah.
plague in this community, and a lot of children, teenagers. It makes me even horribly sad to think about as a parent, but that is like where people turn. It's not like one day they're like, I'm just gonna pop a pill. There usually is a cadence that leads up to people turning to that for an outlet. Like I always think about that. It's hard. Like, you know, people are so judgy, but it's like that's somebody's baby.
Yeah.
Why did they turn to that? Like what
Yeah.
made them turn to that? I always flip that part of my brain to think like what caused you to do that?
I feel like a lot of it's like not intelligence, because we're all intelligent.
Yeah.
I'm as dumb as some people may think that they are, but they are
Right.
intelligent.
Yes.
And I'm very big on monkey see, monkey do.
Yep.
And like, we're around that. We're around the opioids all the
Yep.
time, and you see people going to jail. You see people that you're friends with getting put in jail for
Yeah.
it, that you grew up with in your whole life. You know,
Yeah.
basketball players,
Yep.
football players. You know,
Yeah.
sports people that,
Top
you
of the
know,
class. Yeah.
people that, and for me personally, like I never understood it before I tried it. You know, like
Yeah.
you have everything. Why would you do that?
Right.
You get people who watch you all day long,
Yeah.
and like while you're playing, and you're a superstar, and a lot of people, like even to me, you know,
Yeah.
and like why would you need that? But
Why? Yeah.
but then I think, you know, like maybe things happened to them when they were young.
Like they did to you.
Their
Yeah.
old families, you know, maybe their families had abuse, mental abuse,
Yeah.
physical abuse, drug
Yeah.
abuse, and monkey see, monkey do.
You grow up around
You know
it.
what? I can't do it. I'm gonna be like them.
Yep. Do
And
you break that
I
family
feel,
generational curse or do you not? It's like
yeah.
50-50 chance.
I mean, I do things like my dad. You know,
Yeah.
I try. And again, I don't mean to. I'm not bashing my dad.
No.
He's a good guy, but he has a lot of his traumas that he brought onto me,
Yeah.
that I'm trying to not bring on to my child.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to stop that.
Holding the wall for them.
You know,
Yeah.
I just don't want. Me and Cece are very big on when we argue.
They don't see it.
No.
No. My children do not, never
There's
do they see us fight.
times where she has. I'm not gonna say that that's perfect.
No,
I don't call her names.
No.
I don't. I mean, we've raised our voices at each other. We do not hit.
No.
I've punched a wall. You know, so mad. Postpartum for her was really hard. So
I
like
hear
it
that.
just we'll get onto that another time.
Yeah.
But you know, you get to a point and you just don't know what else to do.
No.
And at that point, you know, I just wanted to exert energy into something, and then, you know, I didn't want it to be her, and she didn't even know I was going to do it.
That's the thing, like especially like with males. Of course, I am a girl, so I am a female. I cannot tell you how you felt, how the male generation, you know, how they feel. They can't tell me how I felt growing up. But what I can say is from observation, from having worked in healthcare, from hearing these stats and educating myself, I'm not shocked you've punched a wall for an outlet because you were not allowed to learn coping skills. It was seen as a weakness. Like, you know, I'm very in tune with my emotions. I'm a huge empath, and when I got to this point, I'm like, I need help. I went and got it. Whereas if you needed help, it might be seen as a weakness. It might, you know, and it's sad because we're all humans. We all have brains. We all have souls. Like, why is it any different for me to go get the treatment and be okay versus you? But then, you know, like the generations before me, we've came a long way, but there's such a long way to go.
There's still more to you.
There is. And having a son, I'm like, he should be allowed to be in tune with his emotions. I am not going to raise an angry person. You're allowed to be angry, but you're going to cope appropriately.
Yeah.
Just, that's point blank.
A big part of why I feel like I'm still alive. I had one of my best friends that lived beside me, and it was Chandler.
Oh, yeah.
Chandler, he you know, he meant a lot to me.
Great guy.
He still does, you know.
Yeah.
We're going to go watch the Boondock Saints here Sunday.
Fun.
So, but we just, you know, just growing up having him, because he knew how my dad was.
Yeah.
You know, and his, he had some things growing up. I'm not going to talk about it. That would be for him to talk about.
Sure.
But he coped with me and I coped with him.
Sometimes that's what you need. You can't do the therapy route.
Yeah.
You know?
When I felt like unaliving, you know.
Yeah.
And I attempted 3 times, and it just, my dad and my stepmom at the time, they got a divorce when I was about 14.
Yeah.
So being in the middle of growing up, you know, trying to cope with that, there's no coping with that. My dad, and again, not bashing my dad.
No.
Just if he ever listens to
He
this.
coped how he could. You know?
For him, it was drinking every night, getting on plenty of fish, and having 2 or 3 dates a night, and me never seeing him.
Oh my gosh.
And he would come home some nights, man, and he would just, here's your meal, or hey, here's your new stepmom, and like I hated that so much.
That's instability. That's teaching you instability and being normal for instability. I know someone that has unfortunately seen instability. So I totally get it. I mean, that's exactly what he did. He coped and he showed you inconsistency, and then you probably dialed in even more to the people pleasing as a result.
Yes. And he would just, there were the nights that he would come home and he would talk about the divorce and stuff. And like while that process was going on and everything, you know, like he would blame me for it for no reason.
Yeah.
Like I had no part in that.
You were kind of a pawn in the game and you didn't want to be in.
And they drank, and if they drank, they were fine. If they got drunk, they were not.
Yeah, that's a medicine, you know, not the right kind, but it is a medicine.
In some situations, you know, like I think for me, I do get drunk sometimes, you know.
Right.
My birthday,
right,
end of the year, you know, I'll have some.
If you're not using it to cope, then it's, you know, you're just being an adult.
It's for fun, you know.
Yeah.
I don't day drink. I don't drink while I eat and go out and stuff.
Right.
Which people think that's weird, but
I don't think it's weird. I think if you're not using it to medicate yourself, you're just being a normal person. Like you're just being an adult who's enjoying life, and you're not using it the way your dad did, and he was using it to cope, and he was medicating himself with alcohol, you know.
And for me, that was monkey see, monkey don't do.
Yeah, monkey don't do that. Yeah, yeah.
You know, and the whole women thing, and like, I mean, I've only had like one official girlfriend, you know. I've had, you know, flings or whatever,
Sure.
you know, here and there. And for me, like, that's, you know, that's what I always wanted, you know, with somebody. You know, I always wanted somebody, and man, just getting the toxicity from my dad, and then the toxicity from getting dragged around, you know, in quote unquote relationships. Like, we're not official, but we're this, you know, me, you know, I'm like, okay, well, you know, at least that's something, and stuff like that. So like freshman year was really rough on me on that. I had Jasmine Abbott. I adored her.
Oh my gosh.
Loved her, dude. We joked all the time.
Yeah.
She was on and off with one of my friends now, but you know, at that time I was gonna like ask her to go to the dance with me, but but not as a dating thing, but as a friend.
Yeah.
And then all that stuff happened, and that was the first part of the semester, and that was just like, that was so hard.
That was
I
horrible.
My stepmom, because this is when they were still, married, and she took me to that funeral. I couldn't even walk up to the casket.
No.
I'd got a bear and everything. I couldn't do it. Like, I was just bawling my eyes out right there. I could not do it.
No, that was like really, really tragic. And I was going to obviously a different school at the time when that happened, but one of my cousins was in your grade. And I remember hearing about that and just how, I mean, it was devastating even for people that didn't know those
Just
kids.
the story of that.
Oh, it haunts me to this day.
If you don't know the story, look it up, because it goes into, which I feel, I'm not saying this is just an opinion. I feel like a postpartum thing was a part of that.
Maybe unhealed something.
I truly feel like that, but that's not for me to really say. But
right.
So freshman year, like I said, it was really hard.
Yeah.
So I went through that, and then another one of my best friends, Matt Nugent.
Yeah.
He passed away not too long after that, and then during that summer, that's when my my dad and my stepmom got a divorce. But I found out I was out there with. I finally got to be able to have a bunch of friends. Like, my dad would never let me go spend the night at anybody's house.
Right.
Growing up, I'm like, what the heck? Why?
Yeah. Now I know.
Now I know.
Like that.
But I grew up. I grew up with things like that happening to me.
Yep.
And I was like, I still didn't understand it, because at those times I wasn't really thinking about it.
No.
I put that on the back burner in my mind.
You just wanted to be a kid and have fun with your friends.
And I wanted to go be with him and stuff. So he would never let me do that. He would never let me play sports and things.
Yeah.
So I'm out there with friends playing basketball, and I hear them arguing, and she says, "I'm gone. I'm out. I'm done."
So you've had a couple mother figures essentially exit your life in your very short time on the earth. That's hard. Like, that is so hard. For a while, like my dad's been with the same, my stepmom, he's been with her for, years and years and years. And she'll be the first to tell you, we did not have a good first few years. Like, we argued, like, I just thought, you're the worst thing. Like, took me a while to really come around to her. And now I'm like, God, I was such a jerk. Like, I was horrible to you. And that was not fair. I actually ended up being the one to marry my dad and my stepmom. So, like, I'm a minister, if anyone's listening.
Hey, same.
Yeah, and then, like, my stepdad, I hate calling them step. Like, they are bonus. They chose to love me when they didn't have to. Yeah. Like, the person my mom was with before was an absolute piece of garbage. Like, my mom deserved the world, and she finally has it with my bonus dad. Like, I love him so much. He does not have any children. He came into my life right after I had Jackson, and I feel like I've known him my whole life. He loves me immensely, and it's like, where were you 13 years ago? Where were you 13 years ago? So some things like that, like, you do think about the what ifs in life. I think a lot, and a lot of the what ifs play into mental health. I think you play this cat and mouse game. I'm like, what if you and my mom crossed paths all those years ago? Like, I could have loved you longer. And I think of, what if me and Lori, like, we would have, gotten along better? What if I wasn't a bratty teenager? I could have loved her longer. But now, they have a relationship with my kids, and it's just different. So yes, being a child of divorce sucked, but I get all this added love as a result of it.
But you needed that, though.
Yeah.
You needed to go through, because in all honesty, that's a test. That's a testament to that person.
Yep.
Still being with your mom after you saying all those things, and things like that.
Yep.
And still there.
Yep.
That just shows, they're willing to love you and her no matter what. And that's just,
it's impactful.
Yeah.
It really is. And it kind of did heal a piece of me. Like, my stepmom and I making amends, and then my stepdad coming into our picture. Like, it's just like, this makes so much sense. Like, your life path is, I always believe it's planned out for you. Like, I think, like, did you hear, like, okay, not to get deep, but like the 9/11 theory, what is it, like the missed alarm theory, or like something like missed alarm theory, where like that happened and you hear the stories of, oh, I missed my alarm, I didn't get on the plane, and the plane this. I always think about that. What
Always.
small thing affects my life's path? And I feel like, things like that do impact your life. And it's nice to kind of see a positive when you grew up with such negative things, and it's like healing your little self. Like, I'm always talking to like little me. I'm like, little me, look what we did. Like, we didn't think we'd be here. So you fight for your inner child, I think, a lot. You fight for your little self a lot.
I don't want to feel how I felt, during those times.
No.
I don't want my daughter to feel how I felt during during what I went through, and like, I don't want her to try to unalive herself.
No.
That's a big thing for me, because like I said, like I told you, I tried 3 times.
Right.
And I laugh about it now. You may not think it's funny, but like,
Right.
I tried hanging myself twice. Thank God I'm being fat, because but that third time was a really, like, a big change for me. And I don't know if you remember, like, if you'd most of the time, if I came in dressed up, I wasn't feeling good.
Yeah.
Because and I don't know, you should definitely try this. If you feel like crap, dress up, put your makeup on and stuff.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and tell you, like, "Oh my God,
You look so
you look so good."
Yes.
And that's like a chemical in your body that starts to make you feel better.
It does.
I always believe that.
Free serotonin.
Because I always believe that.
Yeah.
And so I don't like I said, I don't know if you know, but like, most of the times when I was dressed up, that's when I would be very, very depressed. I may have not been sick, but I was very depressed.
It makes sense.
And this is about to get real, so
we'll give you a trigger warning, just in case.
So come home, me and my dad, we're into it and we're arguing. He's just blaming me for the relationship, that, he's getting a divorce and stuff, and it's all my fault. And he's drinking, and he's aggravated at me. And so I'm trying to walk away from him, and he keeps grabbing me and stuff. And like, it was just a bad time. And he just said, I wished I would have never had you.
Ouch.
And
ouch.
Dude, just hearing that when you're that young, like, words do hurt.
Oh my God.
And my dad, he will say things that he doesn't mean. Like, I know he doesn't mean
Heat of
that.
the moment. Yeah.
But when you're young and your mind is developing,
you think that about yourself.
That is like, then I'm nothing.
Yep.
My parent doesn't even want to be with me.
Right. Right.
And so, like, I had it all planned out this third time,
Yeah.
And I just want to say this, like, I know what happened, and I don't mean to be like this, but like, I don't care if anybody believes it. It's going to sound like it's a storybook telling thing, but for me, it was very powerful. For me, it was very impactful, and it made the person that you saw at school. Because I mean, I was funny, and I cared about people.
Yeah.
But after this, I made it my duty, my job. I made it to, to where I'm at today by going through that.
Yeah.
I needed to do that. But I tried shooting myself.
Oh my God.
So some gun gurus, if you get some dads on here after today, some gun gurus, if you know what a high point is,
I don't even know. But.
It is the lower than the great value type of gun.
Oh my God.
It's just the absolute worst. But I went to school all dressed up, and all day Chandler just knew something was on.
Yeah.
He knew something was wrong. So all day I'm hugging people, telling everybody I love them and everything. And I had already wrote a note and everything.
Oh my gosh.
And I was prepared, I didn't bring home any homework. I didn't do anything. It was a Friday, so everybody's in a good mood anyway, so nobody would really know.
Right. This
You
isn't
know,
out of character.
nobody would really know. So I get home, I read over my note, I make sure that's where my OCD kicks in. I want to make sure everything's perfect, everything's said right. There's apostrophes and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I just it's
That's
my
your
last
legacy you're thinking
it's
you're
my
leaving.
last thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I just I know how to work. I know how to work guns. My dad taught me that very well.
Mm-hmm.
I knew how to take a AK-47 apart. You know,
Yeah.
M16s, pistols, things
Right.
like that. So I knew how to work a gun.
Yeah.
If anybody's gonna ask, like if I even knew how, I did know how.
Yeah.
And I put one in the chamber, and I sat there for a minute, and I had a raincoat on because what I wore that day is what I wanted to wear, you know, for my funeral.
Oh my God.
And so I finally get to it, and I didn't want it to be too crazy, but I just put it to the side of my head, and I laid my head on the blanket or on the pillow, and I clicked it, and it just and I'm sitting there pressing it, and it's locked. The trigger's locked, and I'm like, I can't even do this, you know. And I'm starting to break down, and I'm crying, and you know, I just even just remembering that, you know, just having that feeling, like it just like I couldn't even do that right, you know. Like why am I even here?
You know. Yeah.
And I love this part because my dad, he came home, and I'm trying to scramble, and like I'm trying to make sure I put the gun back in the holster, put it in his dresser, and I take the raincoat off, I throw it off, and I'm acting like I'm asleep, and he came in bawling his eyes out,
Oh my gosh.
and I acted like I woke up, you know, and he was like, "Son, I just want to talk to you." He's like, I want you to know I'm sorry." He's like, I feel like a piece of crap.
Oh my God.
You know, I can't blame you for this. Like it was just like a big turning point, and he was very big on like making me feel good in that moment, and that was like one of my most favorite moments of my dad. And he never even knew. He never even knew. Not until I'd say 2 years ago I told him about this.
Oh my gosh.
And so there's more to it. This is how storybook it gets, man.
No, it's good.
And he was like, you know, let's go to your Uncle Jimmy's. Let's go have a cookout. Let's go shoot the guns. Let's do all this. Let's shoot some skeet. You know, like that's clay pigeons if anybody doesn't know
the little
that.
orange discs, right? Okay, yeah.
So, you know, so we go out there, and he takes all of the guns. Usually he only takes like 2 or 3. You know, I mean, we've got shotguns, AK-47s. You know, like I said, you know, we've got
Army dad.
Yeah. He is an Army dad. So that's the first gun he gets is that high point 9mm.
Oh my God.
And he starts to pull it back, and he's like, "Oh, it's already chambered."
Surprise.
And boom, it goes off.
Something
And I just
divine.
I stood there, and I was white. And my uncle grabbed me. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I was in shock. Later that night, I went and grabbed that casing, and I found it. It had one tick mark in the center where my dad had shot, and one to the side, right on the edge where the copper or the brass meets that metal.
Oh my gosh. That just actually gave me like chills. It's so funny. And I talked about it in my first episode. I attempted one time, and I won't say it's a full-fledged attempt. I knew what I was going to do, and my route was going to be my Zoloft bottle.
Yeah.
So I took my son to the bathroom with me. I got him all set up. I was going to call my husband's work and tell them there's an emergency at home. I was going to take those pills, and I knew, you know, I Googled it. How quickly could Zoloft kill you if you took so many, you know? And when I went to like sit myself in the bathtub, because that's where I wanted to kind of be. I didn't want to be in the bedroom where my husband and I like, you know, spend a lot of our time together. I didn't want to be in the living room. I wanted to be in the bathroom. I go to like get Jackson all squared away, and he just like cuts up laughing for the first time. And that made me stop.
I listened to your first episode.
Yeah,
on that.
it made me stop. And I'm like, oh my, like, it's so funny, and it's horrible. Like the bad things in the timeline, right? Not everybody gets that split second stop. You know, people that didn't get that.
It was their time, and that's how I took it. I felt like that's when I realized like now's not my time.
No.
I have a purpose.
Yeah.
In which how I cope with things now is, it's called the Japanese Ikigai.
Yes. Oh my God. We just finished
Yeah.
reading that book with my HR team at work.
I'm actually just starting it, but
You'll love it.
I've I've drooped around it and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like that was my purpose in life.
Yeah.
Aside from making good food, I felt like that was my purpose in life, is, to make people happy, make people feel good, make people
Yeah.
realize their worth and know what they deserve. And that's how I've always been.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had people in relationships, both sides, come to talk to me like a mediator,
Yeah.
because I'm real
You're
about
Switzerland.
things.
You're Switzerland.
I'm very real about things.
You always have been.
I don't pick sides.
Right.
I'm not, people need to know the truth. And
Right. I just want people's
that's-
perspectives.
Yeah.
I want people's perspectives. And I always have to think about it because, you and I were always cutting up, and I still I like to make people laugh, especially at work, because, it's work stressful anyways.
Yeah.
Because everybody has a hard job. It's a job.
Yeah.
And I always tell people hey, I'm not really stupid. I'm very intelligent, but I like to make other people laugh.
Yeah.
Because I think if you've been at rock bottom and you're miserable, you hope to God that you made somebody laugh enough to stay.
Yeah.
You think about that. Did I maybe keep them here? Did I help? Because what was I thinking about when I was going to do this? You think of Robin Williams, Chester Bennington.
That really hurts me.
I mean, genuinely, it was ruled as a suicide, right? Of course. And you think about oh my God, they brought so much joy to people, and they were freaking suffering.
Yeah.
They were suffering. It's crazy to me how many of these male celebrities, and I'm curious if if someone knows the statistics, but celebrity deaths. I wonder the statistics of female versus male suicides in Hollywood.
I think it's still the same. It's around the same percentage of 6.9% or something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know the exact, but I think it's about the same,
Wow.
Just because, and that's what I was talking about earlier about monkey see, monkey do. Where, we're talking about drugs and, being around it and stuff. That goes into that very much.
Yeah.
What was the One Direction guy?
Oh my gosh, that was horrible. That poor guy. And now, they're not even saying he jumped. He might have been so drugged out that he fell, and they haven't declared that yet. But that's just... You think about these child stars and stuff, and this is another spiral we can go down eventually, but what domino effect got them to that point?
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore talks about it all the time.
Yeah, and she what's the girl, man? She used to be in it's the soccer movie where she's a girl and she dresses
Amanda
as
Bynes.
Yeah, Amanda
They
Bynes.
destroyed that girl.
Completely, man.
They destroyed her.
Kesha, they tried to do that with Kesha,
And she said, no, I'm gonna be all right.
That was her. So seeing the female and the male type of things, they either went downhill or they went to another
rose
path.
above it, and
they went up the hill,
got their help,
and then went somewhere else.
Yeah,
and maybe went down another path.
Yeah,
but for males, man, you feel. I don't know how to. I can't really explain it.
Yeah.
How I feel. I feel like I have a million things to do, a million things to protect, a million things to take care of, and when I can't do one thing, then it's just like a domino effect going downhill.
Yeah.
Money. We could talk about that for days.
Yeah.
That bothers me so much.
Yeah.
It's a very big thing. It bothers me. It bothers my bank. It bothers. And then having a bougie wife, it doesn't help. But then I'm kind of bougie too.
Hey,
we just, do we pay a bill this month or do we get groceries?
Right.
And it's so hard. It's
crazy.
And
to
so
think about.
then that makes me feel like I'm not doing good enough because now I'm at a job where I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I don't make as much money.
Yeah.
So now do I quit that job and do I hate my life for the rest of my life? And I feel bad for not wanting to sacrifice that. So
I hear that.
I feel bad for not wanting to sacrifice my happiness.
Your joy.
Because I sacrificed without having a child.
Yeah.
Without having a fiance or a wife or anything.
It was just you, yeah.
And it was just me. I worked days, months in a row, 12, 13-hour days, working at Pepsi. That's
rough.
You're on this shift today, then you're going to come in that night on another shift. Yeah. And it's just, There's just so many different things. And here I am. What am I? A people pleaser? Sure, I'll come in for you.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do it.
I'll do that for you.
I'll make that money. But
what am I
that's
sacrificing?
This is what I sacrificed. I sacrificed all that money for my porn addiction.
Well, that's awful.
OnlyFans. I know one time I spent $1,800 in 1 month.
Oh my gosh, that's a mortgage. That's a mortgage and a half
for one month. And I'm not scared to admit it because I mean,
no, it's
I was single.
vulnerability.
I was like, you know what else am I going to do?
Right.
I don't have very many bills.
And you were coping, and that was your outlet. I mean, that was your outlet because of what happened to you as a kid. Like, I think of all those things, and I wonder. First of all, there are not enough mental health resources for anybody working in healthcare. Do you know how hard it was for me to be like, sorry, Joe, your insurance isn't accepted at the therapist. Like, mental health is just as important as your physical health. It all ties in together, you know? Like, when I was at my conference, and I'm going to pull this stat back up because I don't want to lose it and I don't want to say it. So, the suicide rate among males, and this is from 2022, this is from the CDC, is approximately 4 times higher than the rate among females. That blows my mind. That blows my mind. And I can't think of more than the fact that you guys feel like you have to bottle everything. You feel like you have to be just this big, strong person all the time, and you don't have to be.
I never really bottled it up as much. So like now, when I grew up and I realized that, you know, like I said, I put a lot of my faith into Chandler and other friends and people that I call brothers now.
Right.
And you know, I would talk to them about it. And, you know, because, I mean, that is the stigma, you know. Like I said, my daddy's an Army Ranger. He never talks about his traumas.
No.
My grandfather, how he passed away, he played Russian roulette.
Oh, my gosh.
And then my dad had to take care of my aunt and my grandma because later that year she got in a wreck and she had her legs, but she was paraplegic.
Oh my God.
So him being 8 years old, he had to do it. You know, he had to do a lot of stuff
because he's the man of the house.
So that's why he's a people pleaser, because he had to take care and all that stuff. So his trauma stemmed onto me, and I'm trying my best. I'm trying so hard.
You're doing the right things though. You are doing the right things. Like, you know, therapy is important. I talk to my kids all the time, and yes, they're 6 and 4, but like Jackson especially, I'm like, look, you can have some bad days. You can have bad days. It just can't be a bad life. You're not allowed to have a bad life. I'm not going to let you have a bad life. If you need to talk to me about something, like I love the Inside Out movies to explain emotions to kids.
Yeah, those came out, man. That is like the best thing that ever came out.
Yes, and early intervention is so important, and I'm not afraid to share this. So Jackson has ADHD, and he gets behavioral therapy, like a occupational therapy. It's like for like the impulse control and understanding your emotions, because when you have ADHD, they all just swirl in a big old tornado, and you don't know which one's going to dip out. So I'm huge on that. But when we were kids, it was, oh, that kid's just a brat. No, I had ADHD and no one helped me. Like, you know, because there's a stigma around that. And I am not letting that happen. My child is going, both my children, they're going to know how to cope, and they're not going to have the answers, but they're going to have a nice little playbook by the time they're my age. And they're going to be like, they're not going to, hopefully, oh my God, thinking about that. They're not going to feel so low that they want to die. They're not going to feel unworthy of my love or like they're never enough for me. I'm not letting that happen. You know, you think about it, you want to give them all the tools that we were not equipped with, because it was just a generational thing. It's not to say my parents failed me. It just was not talked about enough.
It's how they were raised.
Yeah, yeah. And the generation before that.
And you got to think about it, you know, 100 years ago versus now.
Yeah.
Some dude chopped his finger off, and he's like, I'll put a Band-Aid on it, rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You know, that's just how they were raised. And I mean, I'm not saying that makes us, you know, we're weaker or anything.
No.
I just feel like it started with one person, one male, and then it's like, it just gradually over the years, it's just grown and grown and grown. And, you know, it is getting a lot bigger. It's, you know, you see songs, you know, artists, you know, that's how they're coping with it. That's how they're getting out their emotions. And some people don't realize that.
No.
So that's why music for me, that is one of my big coping.
Oh my God.
I will listen to the most depressing stuff, but it makes me feel better.
It does. You don't feel alone.
Yeah. That's and that's where some people, it'll trigger them.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know, I've loved all types of music. So, you know, that's where I get into my happiness.
Yeah.
You know, of course I listen to happy music when I'm happy, you know, but when I'm really down, I listen to really down music.
Yeah.
That's just my thing.
Yeah. Shout out to Paramore for helping me like survive from age like 12 to now. Like seriously, you do.
Yeah.
Music resonates and it's a beautiful story. And I think some people are like, oh my gosh, this music. It's like, no, like listen to what they're saying to you. And listen.
And you can hear it in their voice.
Yes.
Like that's like how hard they get out these notes. Like,
yeah,
you know, things that, you know, you need to do. That's how they exert.
Yep.
That's how they exert their energy and stuff, by singing. So, I mean, that's what I do too. You know, I mean, like I said, I would get drunk sometimes, but I'd love to go karaoke.
Hey,
I love it, dude.
I'll take you with me. Nulu's got a really nice karaoke bar down there, and I'm a karaokeer.
I will literally do karaoke anytime.
Yeah.
That's just my thing.
I do need
you
a
know?
drink or two, though. My friend will tell you that Phyllis has to come out when we do karaoke. That's my alter ego, Phyllis. But no, just outlets and just finding reasons to love life, man. Find reasons. Yes, my children are more than enough, but finding your reason, your purpose.
It's not for your children's sake. You have to be yourself.
Yep.
You have to be true to yourself. You have to be open with yourself, and you have to understand yourself.
Yeah.
For me, that is big for me.
Yeah.
And I want her to realize that too.
Yeah.
And we're going through this thing right now where we're afraid, you know, she might have autism or something. And, you know, for me, like, and that hurts me, you know, because I don't want her to be alone. But at the same time, I might be overthinking, you know, because she is a social butterfly.
Yeah.
She will go to anyone and smile. And that's just how she is.
She will. And you know, oh my God, like kids with autism and ADHD, they're like the most intellectual thinkers. And I can't remember who it is.
So many movies.
Me, but yeah.
So many movies about it.
Yeah, there is. And I was like, when we got Jackson's diagnosis, it was of ADHD. It was almost like I could breathe because I'm like, oh, now I can get him resources. Now I know what I can do. And we're going to do every freaking thing he needs because that is my baby and I'm going to do whatever he needs. And he has an amazing teacher. He has an amazing, like the therapy staff that he has at school. They're fantastic. Like totally different kid. He, you know.
So I'm going to lean into that.
Yeah.
The resources that we have around here is like none.
Yeah.
But where my wife's mom, she's up in Indianapolis, there's like
tons. I think it's based on the area and the need. I will say, you know, the program that Jackson does through school, I mean, it's free. The state pays for it because we are in a rural community. And I'm thankful for that because I don't know that I could afford it not to be, you know, and whatever they're paying these teachers is not enough because any type of adjustment my son needs, his teacher's on it. Like she is on it. Hey, this is happening. And I'm like, can we do this game plan? Yep, let's do it. Like we don't deserve these educators or these therapists, but the
ones
God,
that care, man.
Oh, we are not worthy. And I am so thankful. If I could whip out and like double give this woman a Lamborghini and his teacher from last year, like they're building foundations for my son to be successful. And I tell Jackson this all the time, your ADHD is not a roadblock, it's a speed bump. Sometimes it's going to be a little bumpier, other times it's going to be a little more stable. You just have to learn how to cope with it. And that's the thing. And he, you know, if you're feeling down, if you have a little boy at home, especially like girls, yes, tune into those emotions, but having a little boy, like I'm raising someone's future spouse and I have to make sure he's not angry or bitter, you know?
That's exactly where I'm at because I want Aliana to know how a man should treat a woman.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but like I'm a romantic, you know, maybe not lately because, you know, we've got work and stuff, you know.
Life, yeah.
But like I know how people should be treated.
Exactly.
And that's what I want to teach her too because like when somebody with autism comes up to you and, you know, types of disabilities and stuff. Yeah. I'm very I listen and I'm very easy. Yeah. Like, you know, I try to make sure, you know, like they're okay, you know, like they're happy.
I'm going to take the time with you.
You know, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, dude, get away from me.
You're inconveniencing me. No.
I'm a human being. They're a human being.
We just got to
It
treat
doesn't
each
matter
other
what
better.
color you are. You're a human being.
Yep.
Anything like that. You know, I'm a people person.
Yeah.
So
It's having a servant's heart and just caring about other people. Like, I'll take the time for things that I know some people just won't. But you're right. Like, we have to be more empathetic as humans because there's like a commercial I saw where like this guy, I think he's like walking home from work and he was planning on killing himself. And he passed a couple people that are like complimenting him or like, oh, here's this for you or whatever. And it changed his mind. So I'm huge on tell people what you notice about them. Even if it's a nice smile, that could be enough for people to stay.
yeah.
That could be enough. Like, I don't even know how else to word it. Just be nice. We're all going through this.
Yeah.
We all end up in the same little box or, well, a smaller box if you're cremated. But I want to be turned into a firework. If my husband's listening and I go before him, I do want to be a firework so I can go out with a bang. But, we all have the same finish line. Doesn't matter if you're a bajillionaire or if you're the poorest person in the world. Just kindness is the best payment we can give people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not hard.
No.
It's not. I mean, like I said, I feel like I had a good life growing up, but I had a lot of issues with my dad and stuff, but that didn't give me the right to become a jerk, you know. I still overcame that, you know. I seen family members on drugs.
Yeah.
Like I did try it a couple times, but that didn't force me to get addicted or anything.
No. You saw what
family
happened
members,
and changed your path.
Family members drinking consistently, saw that. I didn't want to do that either.
No, I'm not.
Just because how it affected me being a people pleaser, I saw how it affected me by them doing that.
Yeah.
Why would I do that to other people?
Especially your kids.
And yes.
That is a big thing
That's a
for
big
me.
one for
How
me.
do you look at that baby and not want to just... let me tell you right now, I'd torch houses for my children. Like, have you seen that?
Yeah.
There's like this thing, like, would you kill for your kids? And these people are
I
like,
know exactly what you're talking about.
I wouldn't. I'm going to tell you right now, it's on site and I've got an alibi. Okay?
That was so sad watching that. And then you see the mail, every mail, they go through it and every single one was like, yeah, why would I not?
That is my baby, and Mama Bear comes out every time,
And it's like that for Cece too.
Yeah, that's my baby.
I hate saying it like this because, like, not that I love her more than Aliana, but like the love that I have for Cece is different than the love that I have for Aliana.
It is different.
But the love that I have for Cece is insane. We could argue for hours.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna love her.
Oh my God.
I'm still gonna be there for her.
Yeah. That's my person, man.
She can tell me that I'm doing a bad job. Well, maybe I am.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I do need to do better at things. Yeah. And then that's when we do talk about things.
Yeah.
You know, after Aliana though, that was the hardest part.
Oh, that's such a shift in your relationship.
The postpartum was very hard on that.
I know it had to have been because God love Ethan. He was a saint.
I'm not gonna like I said we might, you know, you said we might do another one about that. So I'm not going to lean into that too much, but man, I would just be driving home from work and I would zone out and I would imagine myself just going into the other lane.
Yeah.
I was so bad.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she was going through it.
It's rough.
I was patient.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't even want to touch me.
Yeah.
I had to always ask, you know, like, can I have a hug? Can I hold your hand?
So touched.
Can I have a kiss?
Out. Yes. You know? God love Ethan. He went through it too. Like, hey, like, can I get some of your, it's not a mean thing, but like, do I get your attention? It's like, dude, I'm barely surviving. I don't even have a bra on right now. Like, you're going to have to, but you're in this survival mode, and it's not to deter people from parenthood. It's the most beautiful adventure I've ever been on in my whole life. But the postpartum depression is the worst thing I've ever gone through.
And some people, I feel like some people, you know, some people don't even have it.
Yeah.
Some people don't even get it. And I feel like not necessarily because of their support system, because I mean, but they don't have any traumas really, you know.
Yes.
You know,
that manifests.
They've had peace with things, you know.
Yeah.
They haven't had to grow up wondering if they're enough, and then, you know, they may put it in the back of their head, have this baby, and then all those memories come back.
Yeah.
Because for me, like after after Aliana, for me, I felt like I absorbed that.
Yep.
You know, I in my head, all those things just came back and everything. And then one of my best friends, Oakley, he had passed away, and that just tore me.
Oh my God.
That just completely demolished me. And here's another thing that you're probably not even going to believe me about. But before we found out that he was passed, like I was just laying in bed. I have proof. I have Snapchats where I texted, where I reached out to one of my friends of how I felt. And I texted them, told them how I felt, said, you know, I'm laying here and it just feels like something's over me, like a cold death is like over me. And I couldn't sleep. Like I felt pressed to my bed. Like my eyes were open and I couldn't move. And I just felt like breaths on me.
Oh my gosh.
It felt like breaths. And I know the fan wasn't on and the AC unit, it was off. You know, this is when it's kind of like that time where you just have the windows open.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the windows open because Cece was always cold because she's always cold. And I'm always burning up. So, of course, I'm going to be burning up.
Yeah.
But, like, I just felt that. And I start talking to him about it. And I was like, I'm just going to get on Xbox and play. It's a weekend. You know, I haven't played in a long time.
Right. Let me have a little outlet.
He's like, yeah, let's play and everything. And then I get a call from another one of my friends. And he was like, did you hear? Because this is what happened. They just found out not too long ago, like 2.5 hours ago. And I was like, 2.5 hours ago? Are you serious?
Oh my God.
And I had to explain that. Like, I have these feelings, like these good feelings, these bad feelings.
I trust my gut, baby.
I pray on that. And Cece now, she trusts me so much. And when she feels, because she has anxiety.
Yeah.
She has depression. Her anxiety oversees her depression.
Oh my gosh.
By a long shot.
Anxiety is evil, first of all.
So she will ask me, do you have any bad feelings? Because she trusts me that much now.
Yeah.
Because like she sees it. She's been with me for 3 years and she's seen it.
It's empath. I'm telling you. Empathetics, like, I don't even know if that's the right word. I'm telling you. You can feel energy from the minute you sit down. Like, it's like, oof. I mean, I've had situations like that. Matter of fact, when my grandma died, I woke up like right before my dad called me. I was in my bed and I'm like, something's wrong. And he called and he's like, hey, we're on our way to Louisville. They think Nanny might have passed away. I'm like, might have. Like, you know, they're not going to tell you till you get there because it's a safety thing. But it is weird. It is weird. Yeah. And I think it stems from like, you know, childhood trauma and stuff like that. And you just read the room a little bit differently.
Yeah. That's 100% how I feel.
Yeah.
I get it in my chest. And then for me, it goes up the sides of my neck. And it feels like I'm wearing a crown. Like I have like some alien put this sensor in me.
It's like, hey, by the way,
this alien just gave me this gift to just like feel things, you know. Like that's I know it's weird. That's how I feel.
Predict lottery numbers. That's kind of an unfortunate. But it's so strange how you read the room and you body language, energy. Like I can tell if someone's got bad intentions. I'm like, I'm gonna stay right away from you. You don't get me. But you know, This is so good, and I hope if you're listening, especially if you're one of my guy listeners, I hope you know how important it is to speak about your mental health. It is so important. I don't care if you got to write me a message on my page and say, hey, Kelsie, like I'm feeling some type of way today. No matter who you are, there are people that love you. They care about you, even if they don't know you, and that should be a reason enough for you to stay. I want to kind of close it out a little bit with a resource, and this is a resource I've actually used for myself, especially when I was going through postpartum. It's the 988 Lifeline. You can call, you can text, you can chat, and they even have like a deaf, hard of hearing option for you. But I can remember texting, and they're all like volunteers. They may be paid now. It's been a couple years, but I would text, say, look, I'm feeling this way and it's not good. And they would ask me, hey, are you in a point I need to call the police? Like, then I'm just like, no, I just need someone to hear me that's not in my circle, that's not going to judge me. I think it's a fantastic resource to utilize. If you can go to therapy, go to therapy. If you can't go to therapy, find a really good, solid friend that's not going to go and tell your business. You have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I know I talked a lot today about, you know, things that's happened to me and stuff, and you may have something similar out there. And I know I backtracked a lot, we talked about,
We go around
a bunch of different things, but
it's okay.
But like, if you have me on Facebook and you just want to talk, message me. I still care about people.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been keeping to myself a lot more. I've not been, I've been putting a lot of focus on my family and everything. But I still care about people. I feel lost right now because I don't feel like I have the friendships that I had, before the baby
up.
and stuff,
Yep.
growing up and everything. And I still need a shoulder, even now. Just if you ever feel this way, don't proceed with it. If you feel like unaliving yourself, don't. You really need to sit down and think of how it would affect your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your daughters, your wives. You have to really put them into perspective. How are they going to feel? Because people want you.
Yep.
As much as you don't want yourself right now, people do want you. As much as you hate yourself, people love you.
Yep.
As much as you just don't care about your life and you're giving up, people are not giving up on you.
Yeah.
That is the big thing. And I want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
That's what we deserve, and we're not always going to be.
No.
We're not always going to be,
Nope.
but going through things with other people is the way to do it.
Makes it a little better.
You will team up with somebody, talk to somebody about it, you'll feel better, and then you might veer away from them and you might never even talk to them again.
But they might have saved you then.
But yeah, they might have saved you right there. So
They might have. They might have. And I, kind of my last comments on it, there's like, and it doesn't even have to be your family or your friends. There may be the person at the bank that doesn't see you again and they wonder where you're at. There might be a grocery store clerk that wonders where you're at. Like, just think of all the reasons to stay. Don't think of all the reasons to go.
Yeah.
For goodness sakes, think of the reasons to stay. I hope Momstrosity is a place of peace and a sense of relief and support. That's why I've done this. It's vulnerable, I know, and that's hard. And I can't thank you enough for being so vulnerable for listeners today. Who knows, this could have impacted someone to stay if they listen. And that means a lot to me. I want to thank my lovely friend Sean for coming.
I appreciate you.
I'm so thankful that you were here. I'm thankful you're still here. And I never would have known that you were going through that in school. But this is Momstrosity, live from the I-1053 podcast studio. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Bye.
Love you, bye.